Welcome back to ABC 7 Extra Sunday. Our focus tonight is on election integrity ahead of Tuesday's general election. Joining me now is New Mexico Secretary of State Maggie Toulouse-Oliver. Madam Secretary, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, what is your office doing to combat the flood of voting misinformation leading up to Tuesday?
Well, let me tell you, Mark, it is a flood. And of course, we have had mis and disinformation in abundance in almost every election in American history. But in 2024, with so many communication channels available, it is at a record level. So we're doing a couple of things. First and foremost, we're educating the public. We're doing pre-bunking, right? So we know that the election process is a little bit, arcane for some folks, and we need to make sure that they know what the processes are, how it always works, literally every single election without fail, not just because it's a presidential election or because a certain person is on the ballot. And we're putting that information out on all of our social media. And here in New Mexico, we utilize Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of the socials to educate folks. And we also have a webpage at sos.nm.gov that is called Rumor versus Reality. So when we're starting to hear certain particular rumors or myths going around, we present that factual information on that webpage. And I just encourage folks in general to always just go to their trusted source of information, their county clerk, or their Secretary of State to find out what's actually true, especially when they're hearing things that maybe don't sound right about the election process.
Are there any concerns about the misuse of artificial intelligence in creating what they call deep fakes that could influence voters?
Absolutely, because here's the thing, as I just said, there's always been myth and disinformation in the election process, but AI and the ability to create things that look very real or sound very real, and in a very quick way, right? That doesn't really require a human being to do the manipulation. That's a real possibility. In fact, I just saw a video that a close friend who's very aware of these issues sent me that suggested that this video was of Mike Pence endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris for the election. And immediately I thought, oh, this doesn't sit right with me. And I went and I Googled and checked to see, has Mike Pence endorsed Kamala Harris? And of course, I didn't see that anywhere. So that is the reality, is that it is very cheap and easy to do now. And it looks and sounds very real. So we also have a page on my website, sos.nm.gov/AI. That provides a toolkit for folks to double check and get some information about, how can I tell whether or not this is real or not?
And you have a campaign that you're doing, and we have an example of the video that is running that is basically using AI, giving George Washington glasses, making Abraham Lincoln dance. This is a great little campaign.
Well, thank you. That was the idea, is that we know that all of this stuff is new, right? I'm a Gen Xer. I'm not a digital native. I know a lot of folks, even who have grown up with the internet all their lives, it's still hard to tell fact from fiction and what really is real or not. So we decided to make a fun little campaign just to intrigue folks, bring them in, educate them, not to spend hours of time, but really in this day and age, not just because of the election process, but because of everything in our lives. It's so important to have the tools at your disposal to know, or at least to be able to get a sense of whether something is real or not.
Madam Secretary, does your office work with local law enforcement agencies when it comes to polling place issues like campaign signs being destroyed or supporters of a candidate trying to influence voters as they approach a polling place?
So Absolutely, polling place security is one of our absolute top priorities. We want both the voters and the folks working at those polling locations to feel safe. We have partnerships all the way from the highest of the federal government, the FBI and the Department of Justice, all the way down to local police chiefs, including our state police, our state emergency management folks, and Department of Homeland Security. We are working in that partnership at all levels. And actually, right now, as we speak, we have a secure chat room that is going on where we are able to communicate very quickly and respond very quickly, dispatch the appropriate folks, whether it be a local police office or a local sheriff's department, to address any issues that may arise. And really, the goal at the end of the day is just to ensure that voters have a smooth, unproblematic voting experience and that they're safe.
Now, there were attempts recently to destroy ballot drop-off boxes in Washington and Oregon states by setting them on fire. So how does the state of New Mexico protect ballot drop-off boxes?
Well, first and foremost, we have the gold standard of security with our ballot drop boxes here in New Mexico. They are required to have 24/7 video monitoring, which they all do. They are all they have tamper sensors and they are tamper proof. So not only are they built to ensure that they can't be tampered with, they also have sensors that can indicate directly, basically setting off an alarm to their local county clerk's office if they've been attempted to be tampered with. And they also have fire suppression devices inside. We still don't know how the Oregon ballot box that issue was successful. But what we do know here in New Mexico is that we haven't seen any of that type of behavior. Thank goodness, knocking on wood. We hope not to, but we are able to respond really quickly with all of the different sensors and the video monitoring that we have available to ensure that those ballots are protected.
New Mexico Secretary of State Maggie Toulouse Oliver, thank you so much for coming on ABC 7 Extra Sunday. And here's hoping everything runs smoothly on Tuesday.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure.
And thanks to all of my guests, and thank you for watching. Remember, ABC 7 will have complete coverage of all of the races in El Paso and southern New Mexico on Tuesday, beginning with ABC 7 at 4. I'm Mark Ross. Stay safe, stay strong. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching. ABC 7 News is now available on any of these streaming services, as well as the KVIA News and KVIA Weather and Traffic apps.